Well, hello and welcome to the wrap. This is a show rounding up all things Zwift from the last week. We're talking racing, we're talking events, we're talking tech, and we're talking fashion. We're live on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and X, formerly known as Twitter. Today is episode number 82 on this Thursday, February 15th/16th, because Anna Russell is in the future in New Zealand. I'm Nathan Guerra. And we got a lot of good stuff coming at you today. We're going to do a wrap up on what we've been up to. And that always usually includes, during this time of year, the Zwift Racing League. So we'll do a Innsbruck Ring scratch race wrap up real quickly. Then we're going to be talking about the Zwift update that just released this week, 1.58, with some goodies in there. And then the main topic of today is women's racing on Zwift with guests Nyquist and Niesen, all about women's racing, and the new Zwift Insider page that focuses specifically on women's racing and riding on Zwift. The jersey pick of the week is the USA National Champion kit, which one of our guests actually owns in game. All right, let's get right on into it. What have you been up to for the last week? And let's roll that right on into Zwift Racing League. Oh, real quickly though, before that, this is a podcast, obviously, so we can download audio versions of this after the episode airs. Head on over to ZwiftCommunityLive.com/podcast or search The Wrap and Zwift anywhere that you download your podcast. You should find it real quick. Let's get right on into it, Anna.
Hello. Yes. And I feel like I owe you a lot of coffees because every week you go through the show notes and it's like, oh, is that right? I'm like, oh no. And I was like, today, yep.
You got it.
Right.
It was nailed.
Well,
you
it's
nailed
right
it
for
this
me.
week.
It's right for me. It just wasn't right for you. I forgot we're going early this morning. I'll explain why we are later when we get to the closing comments of what we're up to in the following week. But yeah, this week, as we heard last week, I'd fallen off a bit of a cliff. So I was just kind of easing back in, did like my son has actually commandeered my watch. So my
I thought you were going to say your Zwift PC because you were gaming on a high-end gaming setup in your Minecraft, which I've been hearing all about in pre-productions.
We can go through that as well. Not Zwift related, but yes, I am using my Zwift computer for some good old Minecrafting. But no, he's taken my watch. And so it was very freeing. I went out to the beach on Saturday morning, and just swam with the crew. And then when I went for a run, I was like, well, let's just go run. Like no watch. I was just like, I'll run until I feel like I'm a bit tired and then turn around and run back.
It's not trapped.
It was really nice.
It didn't actually happen. It didn't actually happen.
I know, right?
Oh gosh.
I know. And I actually did a race on Wednesday night after ZRL, which I'll talk about in a sec. So after ZRL, went off and did a local swim run race, no watch again. It was awesome. It was very freeing. It was really nice. And it was cool. The kids were boogie boarding while I was doing the swim course with my husband there because they're quite little in the water still. But there were some nice little waves coming in and had some fries and a beer after. It was just that good stuff that's like kind of good for your soul, right? Gets you kind of in a good zone again. So that was good. Yeah, and then ZRL. But maybe
that's so summer. That is like so
I know.
Like that is not what it feels like here at all. I'm like kind of jelly right now. Oh, that sounds really good. Really good. What have I been up to? I've been racing. I think we're finally getting over the corner, just from a injury standpoint. I can't remember the last time I was, okay. But even this is worse than collarbone. I've broken my collarbone twice. Okay. And for those who don't know, I've injured my back after the first Zwift Grand Prix. And then I got sick multiple times. And, I beaten a dead horse a little bit here, but this collarbone issues were not, because I could ride right away and I could just get right on into it because of the Zwift, because I'd just be indoor riding. This has been long comeback, and this is I feel like we're finally getting over the hump. Yesterday I actually did a base ride for the first time in a while and enjoyed it and didn't just feel let's get this over with. So, and then just been racing. And there's something to be said for racing into fitness. There definitely is something to be said for that. So now I'm I get the notification from the team, hey, TTT this week. And I'm like, yep, Yep, like week after week. Let's go. Let's do. All right, we're doing Thursday, and we're doing Tuesday, and we're doing something on the weekend. So, anyways, it's a lot of racing going on. That's all over on my Twitch channel. If you guys want to ever see a different side of Nathan, because Nathan racing is a very different Nathan than Nathan podcast. You know what I'm talking about, Anna?
Yeah. Yeah. Your streams can be like scary.
Spicy. If you know, like, the traditional gamer esport like FPS player comes out that just wants to win, you know, and like this is it. Let's go. So a lot of racing. That's I've been up to and training well again. Anything that's like that's really about it. Yeah. I mean, over the week, Canadian Nationals. How do we not have that on the notes?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I've been too busy out at the beach.
I'm saying me too. Too busy on the beach. Oh my gosh, I've been too busy on the beach.
And just rub it in.
Fries and a beer. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's real quickly. Did you watch Canadian Nationals? Did you see?
No,
it?
but I did catch up on the results with my team, who's a lot of Canadians, because we were racing with Monali Keller in ZRL, and I was like, Monali Keller, Canadian Nationals. Did she win? But I heard she didn't. And then Jen actually said sorry, I'm always talking about the women's race. I don't know about the men's one, but there was, I did watch the highlights that you'd put up, I think, or someone of the last bit up. It looked like in Corkscrew. What's that hill called?
Breakaway Bray?
That short one.
Breakaway Bray. Yeah.
Very good tactical riding, if I'm correct.
From both sides. Yeah. Well, on the women's side, Michelle Gagnon, I think I'm doing that one right now. Michelle just sat in the entirety of the race and just follow moves. And it was just a one silver bullet, and went from way out. And that no one was successful with that throughout all of the Masters the day before, the juniors, and everyone who went early didn't succeed. And then she was the only one who went from before even the climb started, and she just stood up and said goodbye. And then Zdina almost caught her at the line, and then Monali came across for third. But it was really, really good racing. And it wasn't like everyone sat in. It was attack after attack after attack for the whole race, actually. And so she just played it really smart. She knows her Zwifting, that's for sure. The drafting was pretty amazing on her part. And then the men's side, the race was won, it seemed like 5 times in the last half a lap. Seriously, wow. Jeremy Ray broke away and did 7 watts per kilogram for a minute to 2 minutes or something, and then had a 30-second gap. Thrall got dropped from him, and then the pack caught Thrall. Then Warren Muir went over JP Leclerc attacked into the climb. Then Warren Muir came to the top after they caught Jeremy Ray in the last 200 meters. And then somehow Thomas Thrall in the last 100 comes out of nowhere with an aero power up and wins after getting dropped. It was absolutely insane. It was, go watch the replay, you guys. Cool. Seriously, go watch the replay Canadian National. It was some of the best racing we've seen. I mean, that's the cool thing is, it seems like this space, as far as how the passion of the community comes out when you get these high profile races like this, like national champs. I feel like for some reason, those have really brought something out.
Well, there's more on the line. Did they get a jersey?
They get games. Yeah, they get a real life jersey too. They actually get a real life jersey too. The national, so
because that's a lot of if I was racing in our national champs, and shout out to whoever in New Zealand can please organize this. Yeah, if you get an in-game jersey, I would love to wear that silver fern. That would be so rad. We've actually got the USA one as the jersey pick this week because I wanted to, in addition to that, talk a little bit about these national champs jerseys because it's a great idea. Talking about Zwiftcraft and ZRL Innsbruck ring racing this week, Nathan, I think I've lost my Zwiftcraft a little bit.
I saw you go it a couple of times. So I was watching, and then I watched Gabby's replay, and there were a couple of decisions I saw made that I was like, that's not like Anna. I was wondering what you were doing, honestly. So I'm wondering what happened there.
So I'm so paranoid of the breakaway because in the last race on Isle Mech loop, there was on the flat a break that I was like, oh, we'll get them back. and didn't go. And then the same thing happened in Tour de Beccah. Someone went off the front. I was like, we'll catch them. And we didn't. And I'm so uber paranoid about breaks. So on the snapper, which I'm really good at, my 1 minute power is probably my strength. So I was like, this is great. And I got a feather for the first power up, and then I got a feather at the top of the first Innsbruck ring, and I just saved a feather for the entire course until the last snapper. So I like never used a power up other than the one I'd saved on that one. But so I was going full in for snapper because I was like, if this breaks here, I need to be with the front. But it never broke. It never broke. Always the group behind, even if they were 5 seconds back, managed to catch back up on the downhill. So then I look at Jen Reel, who's on our team, and she came third, which was amazing. Now she just, when you were talking about Michelle and the Canadian one, how she sat in the pack, and then just used it. So Jen, like on the snapper, didn't go like VO2 max. She just kind of like sat with the biggest group, didn't go off the front, and then just hoped, I guess, that it would catch back up, which it did. And then had all the cookies left for the end. Whereas at the end, I'm seeing like Rachel Lieberman off the front, and I'm like Shasp attacking halfway on like Megan's wheel, trying to get back up, don't make it, so get caught by the pack, have nothing left, and then go to do it.
I actually saw that, and I was like, I was wondering what was going on there at the end, because I was like, surely Anna's got something left, but it sounds like you just went a little bit too much at certain sections. Well, look, you really put here's the thing. The level's gotten so high that, and I used to break away on this course pretty often, actually. Like if I did there was a very specific recipe for it. Like it was like, and that recipe seems to not work quite as well. And the funny thing is the pack changes actually should make it easier to stick that recipe, actually. And the recipe is that you get enough distance before the leg snapper that you just stay away, because the roll through speed shouldn't be as high anymore with the pack changes, right? Like it should be just...
Yeah. Something is it. I think you're right. I think I wouldn't say my Zwift craft is bad, but I think the recipe for this course has changed, like you said. Yeah. Like the efforts I think my 1 minute power up there was like 7.7 watts a kg. Like each time, bang, bang, bang. And there were like 2 other AO riders right with me. We're leading over. We get a 5-second gap each time. Usually at that 5-second gap, you could go. That would be it. You'd go with that group. But I think maybe the change, now you're saying that I think doesn't lend itself to getting away, is you can't super tuck on the down now if you've got a group of like 3. Like if you're leading that group of 3, you can super tuck, but you used to all jump in the super tuck as a little group.
Yeah, and you would kind of rotate now. And so I think that's a good point, because I think the group gets more super tucks because you have more fresh people coming through, right? A smaller group gets less super tucks. And so, and usually you don't get into the super tuck as quickly, and you've only got 3 that are just like done because you just like went over the top way harder. That makes a lot of sense, actually. Huh.
So yeah, I think this course just rides a lot different now. So it's I was a bit like, not like disappointed, because I was like, oh, my power numbers are still good. So it's not as though I was like, oh, I got smoked off the back on like one on the snapper. But yeah, like my decision making, or like what I was doing at the end, I don't know. I was just, it was frustrating.
So I think on this course also, what I found was the race, if it's negative racing at all, if it's at all, like if there is any, because it's such a short race, it's only like 30 to 40 minutes, okay, depending on the men's and the women's, somewhere between 30 and 40 minutes. Like you're in the A category, but the reality is that with that short of a race, there can be no reprieve if it's going to split. Some team has to just make it hard the entire time, and force chases. So we actually had a breakaway work with 3 riders. 1 rider bridged up, but it only worked by like 5 seconds. Right. And we only got that because everyone was so done from chasing, from going over the top of leg snap. And I think also, like, we are not European racing. Like, we have, I think, 35, 40 riders or so. There's like 3 really strong teams, 4 really strong teams. And like, we got away because we got some of the strongest riders, but in Europe, I don't think it would have happened even. Like, I think that they would have been brought back together. So it's something is definitely different now as far as the roll through on that leg snapper. Definitely changes things up.
And I'd say so. And I mean, I'm keen for anyone's feedback who raced, because I don't know if my feedback's tainted by my like, oh, I didn't quite get that right. But I'm not sure as well that it's the best course as a scratch race, because I think when it's a points race, there's a real drive after the snapper to get FAL points at the sprint banner. So people push a lot harder. Whereas you see a gap 5 seconds, even that you're like, oh, they'll probably just catch up, because all we've got now is like 6 kilometers of flat till we get to the snapper.
That's a good point. We've done this one as a points race, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. It's hard. It's really hard, but it creates, I think, more of a break because there's more motivation to get to that sprint banner first. And then if you've got that motivation, by the time you get to the sprint banner, you're like, oh, we've got like 20 seconds now, not 5 seconds. So yeah, during the race, I was like, this is frustrating, because I do the snapper well if I'm tired. Like, that's the strength, is like everyone's tired, but I can still race it well. But no one's tired if you cruise 6K. So you kind of got to the base and then we're like, we're all fresh again. So I think, I like it as a points race more than a scratch race. But then I'm looking forward to next week, which is a points race again, chasing the sun, which will be interesting. No bike swaps because of the new terrain. So that's
Chasing
that was my feedback on that one.
Yeah, I think points race there. Well, I think you like the points race there because you just like breakaways and like you like to like, things are hard. Let's go. Come on. And like, because one last thing on this is like, it definitely did lend to there was a lot of like watching going on, of watching going on, where it was like, I mean, the finales were great. But it was like up front, we even said like, well, this is a snoozer in one of the races. It was like,
right.
You know, so.
And I think that's where if you look at the spectrum of Jen and me, so Jen's on my team. Jen is like sort of a conservative racer, like a smart racer, and being conservative, like our goal is to get lots of points. I'm probably at the other end of the spectrum of like, let's break away, let's attack, let's drive the pace, let's just do all this stuff. And then I was just doing all this stuff. And then by the time it gets to the end, all that stuff doesn't get the points. If we hadn't broken away, I'm similar, right? Like if we hadn't broken away, I probably would have been totally smashed in the sprint. Like it's the only way that I was getting any points there. That's for sure. So, all right, let's jump on over to Zwift update 1.58 released this week. Anna, what's your highlight from this? It's one of those updates where I keep looking for, like, I was kind of looking through being like, is there, no, there's not like a garage sale. You know what, my number one wanted update this year is like just a bit of a garage kind of update. It's like cool.
Do you like the new avatars? I mean, the new avatars are pretty cool.
I think it's cool I think it's cool.
You're not that impressed.
I think it's one of those things, like I was reading through all the comments. I think for some people it's awesome. They get to like represent themselves better in game. For me, I haven't touched my avatar look.
Well, for me, I don't really, that's like whatever. Like
I just got on Zwift.
They just updated that they
they look a bit different.
They look different. Yeah. So they look like, well, at least from the idea is that they look more, not realistic, but like gamified realistic, if that makes sense.
Like gaming ones. Okay.
Like the avatars have gotten an update for how they look. And I think that as far as a game goes, they don't look like 3D blocks as much anymore, which I like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like before it was kind of, it wasn't completely 3D block Minecraft, but it was kind of like the in-between still of the two. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it was still not totally not looking like a polygon, you know, a little, you could still see the polygon edges just a little bit. And so I think they've cleaned those up now, which that's the biggest deal about it for me.
Even more customization would be cool. Like I'd like my hair to be different colors sometimes. Like, cause I'm more on the side of like, would like it to be really gamey,
Totally,
like more gamified. Like,
totally. Like, let's just go all in.
Yeah, like when I get to go pick, in Minecraft.
Like, why can't you be a Tauren? Why can't you be like a?
I'll just have so even just the hair, like some crazy hair, maybe some jewelry, or like a bit of that stuff would be cool too. So, so that's fun. I think there's new route badges, which I think will align with Zwift Games, because it looks like one of them is called the Zwift Games 2024 Epic, and there's Jurassic Coast, which we'd talked about, and there's Mountain Mash and Loop de Loop. So that's quite cool. We will have a Zwift Games full dedicated episode, because I saw just this morning when I logged in that the start lists had got released, but we'll save that for like a full episode. Interset control options is actually quite cool for my kids, because they use the Sturzo Elite and they're quite into just riding around a bit at the moment, and they don't have the keyboard anywhere near them. So being able to steer, to choose your direction is actually
so that's the update. The new
really
intersection
good,
controls are that you can steer into a turn rather than having to hit something on a keyboard and say, no, go this way or go this way. So.
Mm-hmm. And that's it. Although I did see probably actually my highlight of it, which is not great because I think it's obviously a bug, was like people started riding around Yorkshire. They're just riding through brick walls. And there's like all these photos up of these people just like halfway through a brick wall. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to go ride Yorkshire now.
I think it was a part of the TDZ too, that it was a stage. So like a lot of people rode through walls, at least according to the post at Zwift PC Master Race Facebook group. According to that post, they said everyone else as well, because it was like a few people said they experienced it, but they were like, yeah, we think everybody experienced it in our group, because a lot of people were saying something. But sometimes there's a bias there, like I saw a lot of people saying something, so I don't know if everybody was experiencing it. But it sounds like it was repeatable.
Sounds fun.
I had an interesting one. The spiral into the volcano route fix. That was an interesting one for me. It's actually still up on my Twitch. I broke away on stage 8 on the spiral into the volcano with Jaden Yager, actually, and he was just smashing it. I was like, why are we racing this? And then he went, there was a route fix that had come out, and I got the route fix on a rollout, and then he hadn't. And so we're racing to the bottom of the volcano, and he goes left up the volcano. I go right for another time around the volcano, but it still said I was in first place. So that counts, right? But he was also in first place. Like
first place in your group ride? Is this another group ride?
In my group ride.
Oh, yeah. God, Nathan.
Hey, I didn't start it. I was just following wheels, and then people started going. I'm like, all right, well, if you're gonna push it, we're racing. Anyway, so that if you did experience the spiral in the volcano and you noticed that it was going the wrong way, well, they fixed that as well, which goes along with some of the new route badges if you were looking to get that route badge. So Ride Streak stats fix as well has come out. If you did notice that some of those stats were a little bit off, they have fixed that. So that's 1.58. Looks like we got everything there. Yep. All right. Well, let's jump right on into it. We got a couple of guests here, Anna, that you brought in to the podcast, which I'm really happy to have on with us. Let's go ahead and bring into the program Beccah Niesen. I hope I've got that correctly. And Nyquist from the community. Thanks a lot for joining us. Really, really appreciate you guys jumping on with us. Anna, why don't you take it away for introductions?
Okay. Hi, guys. Thank you for coming on the show. And I guess I haven't interviewed a guest on here in a while, but we usually start with your Zwift origin story. So, should we go with you first? How did you get on Zwift? And then, Beccah, I'll go to you, but I want, Beccah, your one to then mold into how you started building a website page and getting all this going. So, you start.
And real quickly, just M represents team, like Riot and Cyrus, kind of, or Riot and Cyrus and Beccah, and then Beccah as far as like team background and in the community, like just some reference there.
I'm on Coalition.
That's for Coalition. Cool, awesome. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Em.
Yeah, thanks, guys. This is exciting. I'm so excited. I was telling Anna, like, my favorite podcast, I get to go on it. And my avatar is being featured the same day. So that's like, this is really exciting. But thank you so much for having us. And I'm happy here to support Beccah with this project. But yeah, I think Beccah really wanted me to join because of just my experience with Zwift and how it's had such a positive impact in my life. And so, you know, it was basically March, like 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago. And I was like an injured runner mom who had finally given up running because I spent years like just training for big events like marathons or half marathons or even like smaller ones. And for whatever reason, it could be that I didn't have the time or the uh, just the good training opportunities as a mom. I don't know. I had a lot of chronic injuries. And so I finally gave up after I was left injured after one half marathon for like over a year. So I was like, I love cycling. I'll just focus on cycling. But it's hard to stay consistent when all you have is outside in the winter. You miss a lot of training opportunities. And so I remember seeing Zwift advertised like in the Tour de France and all the fun is fast. And I remember thinking, that can't be fun. Like, I don't like riding indoors. I don't like my trainer. It's a wheel on trainer. Like, no, like for years, just like, no, it can't be fun. But then when some of my riding buddies were on it and I had heard them talk a lot about it and they were getting to do the Rafa 500 indoors on Zwift when I was like trying to brave these like really scary winds, trying to complete the challenge all outside in the middle of or the end of December. And one day I just turned my bike around. I was like, this is dumb. Like, it's just a virtual badge. Like, I'm going to kill myself. Like, this is terrible, but I'm really competitive. I love challenges and I love that, achieving goals. So that's when I really like started researching how can I get on this Zwift thing. And I'm glad, turns out, I started with the Asioma power meter pedals because I thought, oh, perfect. I'll just try out Zwift. And that's a legitimate, power source for using the game. And then when I got on it and I saw on Zwift Companion all the various racing and it was like international and I was living internationally myself at the time. So that was really important to me because it connected me back to US and everywhere else in the world. And yeah, like that's when I first got on Zwift. And then a few months later, we moved back home to the US and I found a team, my first team. And so that was like, fall of 2021. And it's been such a game changer ever since then. I've been able to reconnect with that competitive side that I was really missing. I can't turn off racing. I can't turn off like being competitive. Like if I don't race here, I'm going to race you on the road in a car or like if playing games, like family board games, like I need it. It's part of who I am. And yeah, so that's kind of how I came into Zwift. Yeah.
Awesome.
Beccah.
Thanks, Em.
Yeah.
Beccah,
So,
you want to go ahead?
Yeah. So I was kind of like that once and future athlete. I was a college rower. My husband was as well. And then I graduated from college and there's really no professional rowing if you don't do national team. So I was like, well, that's it. I'll just like jog or yog until I die. That's it. And so like fast forward, my husband took up biking and bike racing, and I thought he was nuts because watching men Cat 5 racing in New York City is like watching a train wreck happen in slow motion. It's like falling, taking each other out on sprints. I was like, this is nuts. Why would you do this? Fast forward 10 years and we had 2 children, and my husband's like, I think you really need an outlet for all of your like anger about being a mom. And so he pushed me into Zwift, and I was like, oh, I kind of like this. It's interesting. And then I raced for the first time 2 years ago, January, and I was like, well, that's it. Now I'm a Zwifter. Like, I'm in. And so I joined a team that was pretty small that only had one C women's team. I didn't understand the tactics at all because, again, rower, not the same. And then I joined a bigger team, Coalition, and was kind of guided by my first experiences there with the women that are truly incredible. And I know there's women on every team that are incredible. The women that I raced with initially were just so supportive, so willing to spend time with me that I just fell in love. And so, can I roll that into why we're doing the website?
Absolutely.
Okay. So why is now the right time? I stopped working last April, and so I suddenly had a lot more time. And I was like, I really want to put on a women's race. Like, I want to put on a series. And so one of these great women at Coalition introduced me to Susan Clark, introduced me to James Bailey. And I asked a million questions. Like, he thought I was so annoying because I was just like, what are the best courses for women? Like, what are the best race, segments for women? What are, what is out there right now? What is coming in the future? What's the calendar? And he was like, maybe you should ask this of all the women's teams. Like, I'll answer all your questions. He was super nice and super helpful.
Just so everybody knows, James Bailey, like some people watching, just real quickly, just to know, James Bailey is the events guy at Zwift. He does oversees the scheduling of and creation of the events and the events portal for everybody. So that's why Beccah would be talking to James about that. Sorry, just wanted to make sure that people, like most people know that, but some people might be new to the podcast and be like, who's James Bailey? What's up? So,
okay. If you don't know him, you should know him. Yeah, so he was really kind, but essentially at the end of it, he was like, I think crosstalk with other teams would be really helpful. So we set up this Discord server to kind of collect organizers from different teams. So we got buy-in from the co-founder of Aeonian, or actually both of them, but Carla Williams runs the Warrior Games, and she's been super helpful. My teammate, Alice Lethbridge, joined, Anna joined, Em joined, and everyone has like different expertise, but women are so willing to crosstalk that it was immediately like a safe space to talk about performance verification, time zones, events that we're running, the problems with events that have run in the past, different categorization systems, everything. So we had all this information, and we quickly found that one of the main problems is that there's not enough women racing. So we said, how do we get more women to race? We need more information out there that's focused on women, right? Because women are different. As I said on the Zwift Insider site, women are not small men, right? Stacey Sims has really brought that home. And so women need women-specific training. They want to race with women because our matchbooks are different, right? I mean, at Anna and Em's level, it's a little different. At my level, at a B, like I've got like 4 matches in my matchbook, and I really need to use them smart, like in a intelligent way throughout the race, because I run out of them and I don't have testosterone at the levels of men that will just like keep refilling, and they just want to go off the front and drop you even if you're in a chase group, like it's different. So the Zwift Insider site, Eric offered to host, which was amazing. And actually, Richard Vale also offered to host it, which was also amazing. And there's just so much buy-in that we decided to just go now. So that's where we are.
I love this. There are so many things I want to touch on from what you guys have talked about. The first one, I guess, the statement you said there, Beccah, like my anger at being a mom. I was like, oh, I totally get that. Like, and I think, the next question I had on the notes, but be prepared, guys, because we go off on a few little sort of bunny trails when we chat about these. But I think one of the big parts about, especially with, and I'll speak here from perspective of being a mum, when we talked about it a bit on the show last week about how actually you've kind of come through that competitive phase of, say, for rowing or running for you, Em, and then you've had kids, and you almost, my belief was like, I'll have kids and that'll be it. Like, there go my competitive days of doing anything. See you later. Yeah. And I think it's a really hard thing when it's a part of your identity a bit, is to go test yourself and be competitive. And yeah, you can go do some hard workouts and stuff, but it's not the same as like drilling yourself in a ZRL race and, you know, in my case, dying in the last kilometer, but still having a really like good bash at it. And I know for me, that it was able to push those competitive juices into a platform with other women that could also work around the family really easily. So I think, I don't know if that was where you were going with that statement, but when you said that, I was like, oh, I totally get that.
Yeah. There's also, the world just judges you immediately. The first minute you're pregnant, right? It might even start when you get married. And then suddenly it's like, well, how is your house? Is your house clean? It's like, I don't know. Like, why are you not asking my husband this? And then you have kids or you get pregnant. And it's like, what are you doing for that baby? Are you having, are you taking folic acid? Are you seeing your OBGYN? Are you all the things? And suddenly your identity gets ripped from you. And you're first and foremost a mom. And it can be like annoying. I love my kids. I love them, but I'm also me. I didn't stop being me just because I pushed a bowling ball out of my vagina. Sorry.
Yeah. I don't know why you're apologizing, but yes, correct. Em, I know you've you've got 3 kids. What is your kind of take on this as well?
Yeah, I mean, I was living vicariously through like my nieces who are now in middle school and high school, and just reliving like, to be like in a competitive environment again, because as my husband's job takes us around the world every few years, and it works well for our family, for me to support him instead of pursuing my own career and stay at home with the kids. And now I homeschool one of my kids. 2 of them go to public school, but I've been confined to my house, and I'm happy to do it most days for like the last 14 years. But like you said, Beccah, like at a certain point I was just missing that part of me that made me feel alive, that sparked a lot of joy, and for me, that competition, I was really missing it. And especially like you said, the world judges you. It's lonely being super competitive athlete female, because in my experience, a lot of my other friends that I met can't relate to that. And so when I got into a team and they're saying things that I think, and they're not intimidated or like offended by some of my just athlete and competitive mindset, it was so validating. I was like, I'm not the only one. I'm not crazy. I knew it was okay. I just didn't. It's so hard to find, and that's on every level. I was racing. I'm not just saying this was like a fellow aid racers. There's competitive athletes on every level in this community, and it's so accessible to meet all those people because it's international. So yeah, and it did make me a better mom and a better wife for sure. Like, because I got my time, what I really truly love to enjoy doing. And it gives me like another type of energy to come back to my family and to be present with them in a better way, instead of always feeling so drained, because I just wish I could do something for myself, and this is what I love doing. And yes, Beccah, my house is not that tidy, but it's fine. We're fine. But I'd rather be riding my bike than have like an exemplary house.
There was something about the space on Zwift has created space in the rest of your life to still uphold the I would assume, the highest values that you have, which is your children, your family, etc. But there's also a space now that has created more space there because you're not in the middle of winter giving yourself tendonitis, suffering, trying to get some virtual badge. It's a virtual badge that you actually have time for that's in your house, it sounds like, which is a little bit different. I heard the same thing from both of you, I felt like, where you're like, I have this tension in my life. I value this, but at the same time, like, this is a value too. Hold on. Like, we can't let this go because this is really important as well.
And
yeah, I think I went down the rabbit hole of letting it go and saying I don't need it anymore. And it just like bubbles out in other ways, you know. So I think my husband never stopped training from college on. I don't think he's been injured at all since college. And I had children and also a couple different surgeries and injuries. And I thought that I didn't need to compete. But then once I started again, I realized, like, this is really who I am. I can't stop being this person. So I really credit Zwift for bringing that back to me.
And you know, Anna, you've mentioned a lot over your various podcasts that the friendships that we make are real, and they really are to me. Like I might not meet most of my friends in the virtual realm, but they support me in ways that other friends in my real life can't. And that's nothing against them. It's just that this means so much to me. And to get that support from my team is huge. And like I said, we move a lot. We're moving this summer. And I don't have to say goodbye to any of my friends from Zwift or the virtual realm. So yeah, like and I knew that. I was like, oh, sweet. I won't have to say these goodbyes. So it's huge, you know, it's been such a game changer, life changer for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I kind of want to pivot here a little bit to something else that you talked about in both your intros, which was kind of that women's space to do this. So, you know, because people could be like, but there's go race in the, so I'm an A racer, go race in the B category mixed division. Like you still get great racing and it's still heaps of fun. I know, and I guess I'm keen for your guys' perspectives here on why it's a little bit different. So for me, and I always hate saying this because I think it makes me sound uber sensitive, but like, I just hate dude banter. Like I've said it on the pod before. Like I work with a whole bunch of guys. I've got a lot of guy mates, and Zwift is my space where I'm like, I just can't be bothered. And as soon as it starts coming in, I have to turn off chat, and then I'm like, oh, it's kind of ruined my ride a little bit. Like, and it's nothing bad. It's just kind of I just call it dude banter. Like it's just dude banter, which is totally sweet. But then it just rolls into the whole ride of like this 1 hour of dude banter. And I'm like, oh, I'm over it. And I've got 2 sons. I'm just surrounded by dudes all the time. Right. And so for me, I race pretty much just women's racing because like, you know, like the banter is just different. It's like girl banter. And like yesterday in ZRL, I can't remember, you know, there's always like chat about, you know, that movie Mean Girls or you know, like, and just funny things that girls get, or like, oh man, I've got my period today. You know, like stuff that I'm not going to go put out in like a mixed B category ride. So anyway, that was my perspective on why I, you know, way prefer racing with just women on Zwift. Also, Beccah, you talked about it like that maybe Em and I don't have it sort of with the ACAT and the matches and things. But like, I think for me, I personally find B mixed racing really hard because the raw watts are so high on the flats that the race is so incredibly tricky to kind of get used to, because on the flats they're pushing 4 watts a kg, but 4 watts a kg for them is like 100 watts above what I can hold. So it's just this dynamic that's really, really hard. But yeah, I'd be keen. Yeah. What were your guys sort of, why women's racing? Why not just jump in with a mixed race?
I think we probably have very different answers for this. So, like I said, I'm huge. I'm 5'10", 177 centimeters, and I'm 70, almost between 73 and 74 kilograms all the time. And so I have those raw watts, and I don't mind racing with men, but I don't like I feel like women are working towards a common goal. And so you'll see women do team tactics, which is super fun to watch, but everyone kind of doesn't mind if you're bringing other people up. I feel like whenever I race with men, if I get dropped from the front group and I'm in a group of 3 and I'm just like, oh yeah, we can work together to get back to that group, they'll fucking drop me. And I'm like, why are you working so hard to drop me? We're in 32nd to 34th position. Does this like really feed your ego that you drop me? And women, I don't think do that. I don't know. I haven't experienced that with women.
I think so. I mean, I do enjoy competing against men, especially my husband, like you, Anna. Like if I'm in a race with my husband, whether it's like running or outside or just a Strava KOM, I'm going to do everything I can to beat him. That's fun. However, I noticed in races where it's like a legit Zwift race, not like a group ride, I start to get into this mindset of, well, they're a man. Like, I get dropped. Yeah, they're a man. And that's a constant fight in those mixed races. Like, well, and so my goal on most, I mean, I haven't done one in a while just because I've been busy racing, but I do like I jumped in with a friend a few months ago. But when we come to the finish, I'm like, well, if I can get top 30, that'll be good. Let's see if I can do top 30 because they all get me on the sprint because they're men. Because I have that in my head because they're men. And then I go into Zwift Power and I just look for like the women. Like, where's the women? Like, how did I do? And I check to see how my race against the women, which there's like 3 or 4 if I'm lucky, but it's a mindset that I can't separate. Maybe other women can, but there's like this negative, like, yeah, they're going to beat me. Of course they are. Like, they've got that different.
And why should you have to separate out the results and not have a space that is just for, do you see it like that? Like you're doing all this extra work and mental stress, like that takes processing power while you're out there racing. Like, and then afterwards you're going and looking at the results and in your head, you're creating a separate results list. You know what I mean? And yes. That list is a representation of a reality that took place, right? It's not just you know what I mean? It's not like a fake thing that didn't happen, And so, yeah, that's a really, really good point. And so can we then because that's a really good kickoff point to maybe dive into the website a little bit more, because that is a space specifically about growing this. Because one of the struggles is nobody's fault in some ways too, where we need more women racing. So here's a space. Go check this out. This is a resource. It sounds like you're starting to create. Beccah, I'm going to go to you on this first on how this may be able to help grow women's racing.
So I think this started with Coalition about a year ago. I started to notice that people were very hesitant to jump into racing, and women specifically were hesitant because I don't know if you've ever heard this, but if women apply to jobs, they want to have 100% of the criteria for the job in their resume as an expertise. So they want to say I can't do that job because I don't have 5 years in that HR position. I felt like that with racing too. I felt like I kept coming into women saying, well, I don't know what I'm good at. I'm not good enough to do this race. I'm not good enough to enter it. I'll be I won't be able to finish it. And so I started putting together data for them, well, let's look at your power numbers. You can do this. Look at who raced before. You're this, you'll fit in great. You'll meet people that you like. You'll be able to compare yourself week over week. And so I started to think this website needs to be a spot where women can go and see, is this a series? Is this a recurring thing? Or is this a one-off? Is this, what team can I join? Because teams uplift people and they connect people, the best teams anyway. So the teams that are listed there now are all willing and wanting to be out there for women to support them. And they all wrote their own descriptions. They all sent in their logos. And women can go there and say I'm a D rider. I don't know if I want to race. Maybe I want to race, ZRL, or maybe I don't want to commit to a series. What teams are out there for me? And so they can go and scroll and look at it. And then they can look at the race calendar. We're spotlighting different women racers and women that have done stuff off the bike. So Jillian, that I know both and Anna know she's an amazing person. And so she's done stuff on the bike, racing, and also off the bike for women that we wanted to feature. So all those things are kind of going in there so people can go and feel connected and enabled and supported, and build their confidence.
I think, Beccah, like a really good way I've used this website as my gravel riding partner. Just works out on Zwift, but she's just done the tour of Zwift. And she thought that, well, she's like Nation. She thought those were races. Hey, Nathan, the tour of Zwift group rides. Anyway, she was like, that racing was so fun. I was like, oh, well, that's actually group rides, but you should totally race. And her first response was, no, I'd be terrible. I'd be so slow. I'd be the worst. I was like, you like legit real life, you're like really good. So you're not going to be the worst. And there's lots of categories and it doesn't matter. She's like, but I don't know how to Zwift race. I was like, but you can get on a team and it's really great. And then this website was created. I was like, actually go here and just have a look. And then, so I think exactly kind of like you said, it's really, there's probably, maybe we fall into the banner of like some uber competitive. And so when I'm like, there's Zwift racing, how do I do it? Get me on it straight away. And I was like looking around, but then there's just women riders who are like, want to dip their toe, but are like, no, I'll be terrible. And that first instant stops them from doing it. So I'm hoping that this website is kind of that little bridge to get that toe dipped in, to like their calf muscle dipped in, and then like up to their hip dipped in, and then they're all in, So I think that's how I see it. Em, did you, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say the website page dedicated just to women. If you go to a gathering or like some sort of party, I guess, and as a parent of 3 kids, that's like a terrifying idea to do, especially when they're a little bit younger. Like we tried to avoid like social gatherings as much as possible because wrangling 3 kids was so unpredictable. And anyway, but it's like getting to a party and the host, and this has happened before. They're like, oh, I've got a space for your kids downstairs with games and like kid-friendly food. And you're like, wow, like I'll feel comfortable there. And I think that's the same that women can feel going on to ZwiftInsider.com because it's overwhelming. It's wonderful. Like you can search for anything you want, but to know that there's just a specific space catered to your needs as a woman, I feel is like really approachable. And I think is easily, like you said, you can share it to anybody, any friend, and they'll see even videos of every level of women Zwift racing, which is also great just to see right there because it's kind of hard to find on YouTube. It's hard to find women posting their races. Yeah.
And I actually really love, you guys didn't tell me to say this. I love the ZCL videos and I love to send people there because you guys have really started to feature every category. It's so nice to see because women race at every level. And so when you focus on a D category women's race and you can see they're fighting and it's so great to watch the fight at every level. And it's just, we need more of that. So there's more streams being put up from different category women, D, C, B, A. So you can see not just what, the elites are doing, but what everyone's doing in a race to fight. So I think that's really awesome.
Yeah.
One thing I just have to back that up. So as a coach, when I'm coaching a lot of women, like there's a specific person that we're coaching right now that totally thought, what? Zwift racing? I don't know what to do there. And the trepidation, I heard that 100% coming from her. And I've heard that multiple times across a lot of friends that are women. Like, I don't know what that's about. I don't know if I can do that. I don't know. I'm like, just jump in. Come on. Like you can do this. And like you said, the featuring and seeing, I think there's that scene. Oh, there's all these other women that I can jump in with at all these levels. Cause for some reason there's this idea of like, and I don't know if you guys can shed some light on this idea that like, oh, it's just uber competitive. And maybe it's because the men are just too loud. Like, and it seems like that, and just being like taking over the space and where it doesn't feel like a women's space at all. Like that feels too testosterone. Like you said, Beccah, that feels too like, you're just going to feel like punched in the face all the time. And so, yeah. And then once her name's Stacy, one of the people I coached. She got on a team and she's like totally in it now. Like, oh, ZRL's happening on she's in the rhythm of like what happens on a weekly basis kind of a thing. I have another friend, a couple of friends, and if they listen to this or get a snip of this, come on. Like, I got 3 women here all like going for it and at different levels, and you can get into it. Just love to hear that you're creating that welcoming space where somebody can feel like, hey, these are my people and I can totally go do this. Like, that's super, super exciting. So with that, I think it's a good transition to like the future. And Anna put something in here of like, okay, a lot of times when you launch something like, well, what's your goals and what would be success? So like 3 years from now, if like people listen to this and we're like, okay, how do we get involved? What are our next steps to move forward? And then if it was successful, like, what would it look like? And what do you want to see? And what could be better? And we'll go to Beccah on this first.
Yeah, and so I have a practical and existential answer to this. The practical is that I'd love to have healthy women's fields across all Zwift races. So when you go, just for the option, right? So when you go to a race and you see, like, I love this course, Chasing the Sun, love the course. ABCD men's and ABCD women's. That would be awesome. And the ABCD women's didn't have 4 people in it. It had 40 people in it. Just like in the men's, when you have a race with 40 to 70 people, it's totally different and a lot more enjoyable. Personally, I guess not everyone feels that way, but I think a lot of people do. And then existentially, I'd love to see women feel enabled, supported, and connected, because like it took me, 18 years to get back to the person that I was as a kid. I wish that women could get there quicker. And I think that there are women out there that want to help other women get there to realize that. So that's what I hope.
Mine is like a suggestion with a hope. You know how I was mentioning that so like Beccah just said, we should have ABCD female categorization for every race. And I agree. I think that everyone or female category should be gone. And we could be able to sign up for the same races, the same mixed race. So we can race with the men, but race other women. And you can see who the women are in the sign up on Zwift Companion. And then you can see them in the race, like different highlighted color for their name. So you can identify each other, who you're racing with, and still have the population, the field of the men, right? So you can still work with the men, work with whoever's in your race, and yet know you're racing with the women and see the women in the race and then see it in the results. That's my hope. And I feel like that's doable.
Well, it happens on Zwift Power already. Like, you already do have the little icon, right? So you're looking for just like some sort of an icon or something for identification in game
during the race.
During the race, I think. Sorry, I just want to. Sorry, I was just going to say, on that, it was like, maybe it was like 3 years ago, and they did this really cool thing with people who had enrolled in Zwift Academy, and they had a little icon for all the women that had enrolled in Zwift Academy, and it was a different colored icon for the men that had enrolled in Zwift Academy. I loved that. Every time I went out riding, I was giving ride-ons to like every single woman that I could see had enrolled. I was like, woohoo, she's enrolled, she's enrolled, she's enrolled. That actually is a really good point, Em. Like, it was awesome to have that visibility.
Yeah, the visibility. And then maybe not racing, but in chat, Anna, like I want the women chat. I don't want to turn off the chat, but same like you, I get bothered by some of the chat, and it's not always really offensive. I just don't want to read it. I want to know where the women are. I want to chat with women, and I don't want to post a chat because I don't want a response from a man. So I would love for Zwift to enable us to turn off male chat. So you can chat with whichever woman is around. You chat like female only. I'm sorry, but that's
maybe. So I'm going to jump in. Cool. I'm going to say that custom chat is probably the way forward with that. Like, we need, like, why don't we have custom chat? Like, why can't we make our own group? Like in any MMO, like that's just a thing. Like, you push /, like in World of Warcraft, you push /group or /women / whatever, like, and that's who you talk to, right? Like a custom yeah, anyways, like that's a big one. And then the ability to block is another one that came up recently, I think too. Like you could what platform exists like where you can't just stop someone from talking to you? like why can't I start? Yeah, anyways, go ahead.
And that
Anna.
actually kind of goes across a few things too, because like my son's are Zwifting now. And like we were in a Zwift group ride and there was like my son's 6 and there was like a 7-year-old who was like, they were like legit like racing each other. I was like, oh, that kid behind you's 7. And he's like, what? I don't want him to beat me. I was like, oh, that would be quite cool if there was just their chat, and they could be like, how's it going? Like kid chat as well. But anyway, sorry.
I'm going to kick your butt.
Might get a bit wild.
But speaking of kids, this probably won't happen in 3 years, but you know how like a lot of the American schools, at least I think, have accounts with Canva. So all kids or like my kids are really good at Canva now. We need to get e-bikes into schools. Because if we can get kids on Zwift at school for PE, that will grow everything, right? Like if it'd be like a privilege, like for every school to have like a couple e-bikes that could be part of like the PE curriculum and getting kids on Zwift. I mean, I can just see girls getting more exposure to a sport that is very intimidating. But that's like a big dream for me. I would love to see e-bikes in schools and gyms,
We talk.
That'd be great.
You're saying trainers like bike like.
Yeah, like.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it'd have to be a certain like middle school maybe, like where they could fit.
No, I'm
but
just
you're
making
talking
sure
about
what you're saying
trainers,
because you said
smart trainers,
e-bikes.
not-
You said e-bikes and e-bikes are
like
electric
smart
bikes.
bikes.
You mean smart bikes is what you mean, right?
Sorry.
Just making sure.
Yeah, like a walk. Yeah, like
I
a
get
bike.
it. Online.
Yeah,
E means online as well. So like totally.
So
get
just
it.
as like a FYI,
Sorry.
like we I delivered 15 smart bikes out to 3 youth hubs throughout New Zealand. And over the winter, these youth hubs all race against each other in a series we create. And they do teams events. So they'll have each hub has 5 smart bikes and there'll be like 5 girls on the bike and then they relay and then the 5 boys come on the bike. And it is so exciting because the 5 girls have to do a hot lap. And so all the hubs have these 5 girls on the bikes, just like going like bananas. And then they have to do the quickest transition to get the boys then on the bike to then all the boys race each other as fast as they can. So we're trying like all these different formats. They did like little time trials and then they had like anyway, it was super fun. So it's absolutely possible. We got a whole bunch of funding to do that. So if anyone's listening who wants to do that in schools, like it's a possibility.
That's one of the big secrets here too, hugely, is school participation. And I think like Nyquist here in the US has blown up in the last 10 to 15 years, which is the National Interscholastic Cycling Association. And at Trek, it looked like a World Cup this past year. I mean, it was just literally just the fields were full for the high school championships. Mm-hmm. And then I think this reality, that you brought up of getting trainers in the schools in the winters for something to continue to do to try and make, because there is something fun to do. I think there's an introduction there's a way to get that introduction there. And that would also increase, I think, women's participation because you look at, the introduction that this is acceptable, that this is okay, this is good, like, at a young age. Because I think Beccah, you brought this up earlier too, of like what you're trained into to assume is a big impact on this.
Mm-hmm.
I also think you guys brought up last week, which I thought was a super interesting conversation. You called it like a bunny trail, but I actually would love for you guys to delve into it more, but the evolution of an esport athlete. If you introduce kids at a young age to maybe not World of Warcraft, but Zwift, and that is their video game, like you don't have to worry about childhood obesity if the video game that you're playing is Zwift. Like it just goes away, right? If kids want to play a video game that's athletic, they evolve into that being part of their life immediately. And that would be amazing.
So last week, I wanted to say feedback to Anna. I actually brought it up during one of the broadcast last week, Anna. So you said it's just going to be mammals. It sounded like middle-aged
that
men
is
in
not what I
Lycra.
said.
You kind of
No
leaned
way.
there a little bit. Okay, I'll go get a clip, and I'll clip it.
Well, women as well. No, I said there was a split of demographic.
not just mammals.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's a split demographic.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah,
mainly
yeah.
older people who could afford being in this space. And will we ever, like, people who are younger are just going to be going after the big in real life road contracts? That was the point.
Yes.
But
that
Canadian
was,
Nationals was just stacked with mainly, well, not mainly, I shouldn't say mainly, but there was this, like, literally the conversation became the veterans versus the youth. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, it was so cool
Just
to see.
exactly what I said.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
I said it was that split, right? Beccah, you got me. You were listening to it. I said that there's the kind of youngins that come in for like a talent ID pathway. And then there's the people kind of like us who have done sport competitively in their 20s and can't really do that in real life for one reason or another. And so come to Zwift in their sort of late 30s, early 40s as a competitive thing. So it's like this kind of split demographic.
Yeah, I guess
That's
what I was ribbing you about there was like, I'm not sure those youth are there for talent ID, all of them. That like
Okay.
maybe we're now, to go to Beccah's point, was like the evolution of the esport athlete, and like, are we seeing this generation coming in that's not as interested in changing their whole life and going to Europe? You know, that there might be, I'm just going to race North American in real life, and then maybe the esport thing can get really big. I don't know, 3-4 years, like we're talking about long-term goals, but this is another bunny trail. Long-term goals would be that like we straight up have the liquid esports, you know, gaming organization and the whatever, like Luminosity and these different gaming esports, or maybe they're their own space that has their own teams that are in the esports space that are contracted riders that are just going for that completely, and the eyeballs are really on it. That would be so. Anyways, I had a little bit of. It wasn't really about. It was the hope I saw. It wasn't about me. I just wanted to rib you about it a little bit. But the that I saw at Canadian Nationals, that, and it was actually, I don't know what Canada's up to, but it was different than US. In US, we had a couple of youth, but Canada, it was literally half the field were that younger crowd coming in and competing against the veterans of the sport, which is really cool to see. And a lot of women actually on the women's topic. So really cool of Canada and what they're up to. Whatever Cycling Canada's doing, they're doing it right. That's for sure. Anyways. So 3 years, 5 years goal then, it sounds like, is like grow each one of the categories, seeing participation across all, and like that would be, Beccah, it sounded like that is kind of your main push to like, and I think that's really awesome. When the way that sport grows is it's a structure. It has to start from a beginner point all the way to the top, but the beginner point is the only way there's a reality to it, right? Like, unless, you know, and one of the things with the growth of sport, and one of the main things I've been hammering on, is like, there's got to be the local baseball diamond, there's got to be the local basketball court, there's got to be if that thing isn't there, you don't get a tradition. You get more of a flash in the pan situation a lot of times. And so it sounds like you're trying to create like, well, how do I get that touch point that feels like that local thing that I can connect to? And online, it's a weird thing because it's new. Like, how do you make those things?
And that's one reason we wanted to go with Zwift Insiders, because not just racers go to that platform. Because Eric has done a great job of, there's all the route descriptions. If you are new to Zwift, when you Google Zwift, I think you guys mentioned this when Eric was on, like one of the first couple things that comes up is Zwift Insider. It'll go through not just the racing stuff, it'll go through everything. And so for a woman starting Zwift, if she goes and she looks up, you know, like, what's up with this weird game where I'm on my bike, then she'll see Zwift Insider, and then she'll see women's racing. And for women of all shapes, sizes, backgrounds, can see that there's racers out there like them and feel enabled. So it's a good hope.
So, like, a parting question I'd have for you guys is so people watching, people listening, like, what can we do to support
Point all the
you?
women
What
in your
can we-
lives that you think need, yeah. any woman, like your friends, the people you're coaching, Nathan, like your gravel friend, Anna, just point them to the website and say, hopefully this helps. Hopefully you can find a space there to feel supported and connected and uplifted.
I was going to exactly say the same thing with share it, but I also wanted to add that any woman is welcome onto the Discord server that Beccah and James started. And I mean, Eric was looking for more women writers to contribute to the website. So, if you like to write, if you want to contribute, there's so many opportunities for you, and you're welcome. Just how would they go about jumping on or getting on the Discord, Beccah?
I can share a link once I figure out how to do a permanent link from Discord, because I'm a Luddite. I can share that once I figure that out. And also, I totally forgot, if there's one more minute worth of time, we're doing a chase race next weekend or next Friday. Is it next Friday? The 8th of March, that we're going to feature on Zwift Insider. And a chase race is my favorite style of race. And I've heard good and bad about it, but it's where the slowest people start first, and then the slightly faster people start after a time delay. And then the fasties start last and try to catch everyone. So you're working together with your group to try to stay ahead of the people behind. So we're going to have live commentary. I'm actually doing it live at a bar with this awesome woman bartender.
That's awesome.
Oh my God.
She created a women's cocktail for us. And so we're doing a pizza party with a special women's cocktail. 3 of us at least are racing.
Location.
Together,
Maybe people will hear this that are in that area and come out to the bar.
Yeah, this is in Healdsburg, California. So if anybody also, I have tapped 5 bedrooms for people to stay if other people want to come race. I would host
Beccah, this is it. This is the way you do it. On the ground. Seriously. That's awesome.
I'm hoping people that are there that ride with me, like I ride outside, but I don't have any people that I ride with outside here that ride inside. So I'm hoping that the people that watch are like, this is actually really fun. And cool. Especially with a couple cocktails, it makes it, easier to see how fun it is. So cocktails first and then watch the racers. That's my goal.
And this is the kind of organizing that's happening on the women's think tank. They're organizing all of this on the Discord. And this is like Beccah got this idea from some other ladies that do this. So you got to join the Discord. And we've got, I've been watching it. C category for this race already has 54. B category has 32. And women's A ladies, we only have 15. We need more than 15 ladies.
No.
I do also want to shout out. Yeah, I'm entered in this race. So it's for me and all the people over in New Zealand, Australia. It's 6 a.m. Aussie time, 8 a.m. New Zealand time next Saturday, which is perfect for actually all of us down under. So thank you for that. But one part that I'm like, this is awesome, is you've assigned jerseys to each group, and each jersey is like a throwback women's jersey. So like the A Cat has the Vox Women Tour, which is like top jersey in my mind. The B Cat is the Rafa Women's Supplice. I can never say that right. C is the Women's Week 2018. I don't have that jersey, which is a bit gutting, maybe, and I can't enter C Cat, unfortunately. And then D Cat is Zwift Academy 2020 Women's jersey. That is so cool. I don't know who had that idea, but I am loving like the women's themed jerseys too.
Hey.
So
hopefully you guys tune in.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome with the Discord, I think, is one of the main follow-ups too. So there's the check it out at the website, and then it's like get involved. Well, you can jump into that Discord. And I think what's really cool is I would always be like, here's how do you get involved? And I'd kind of like, well, here's a team. And then I'm like introducing someone totally new to a team who's focused on women's racing, but like they're kind of like, hey, that's a team already. Like I just want an intro space. Right? Like they're looking for that. Like I got a lot of questions, and like, there's a lot of teams who do a great job of answering the same questions over and over and over and over and over and over and over, but eventually it's like you're introducing, and if you get a big influx, it's like, and then everybody gets pointed at, and I've seen this happen. Like all of a sudden Rave grew really fast and Team Fearless grew really fast. And it's like, there's women out there who want that, but this is like a portal. Like, okay, this is where this is an entering point, which is really awesome you've created. All right. So, well, thank you so much to both of you. You're doing an awesome, awesome job. And we really, really appreciate you coming on to the podcast to join us and shout this out. ZwiftInsider.com/WMN is where you can find the website. We'll try and get an update for the Discord. We'll try and get it below in the a link in the description of this video on our YouTube, and then maybe a link over at the women's page as well. And if you want to check out what these two are up to, I know Em is streaming and putting up videos once in a while. Aren't you, Em? Or are you just recording? Do you just record?
I just record.
You
Yeah, I
record.
just record.
Okay, record and put stuff up on
But
Instagram.
But these are our Instagrams, so you can always DM Beccah or myself, and we can share Discord links that way too. So.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, you two. I really, really appreciate you guys jumping on with us.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. Yeah, of course. Well, thanks. That was awesome. Really, really, really appreciate them coming on, spending time, and a lot of good insight. And I like, it was funny before the podcast. I was like, I'm just gonna be hanging out here surrounded by women, just listening. I'm just gonna listen. But like, that's my life. That's my life sometimes. Anyways, raised by a single mom. And then I'm like, Gabby's over here, like smashing. Then my daughters, it's like, I'm like, anyways, I love it. I have not a complaint one bit. That's definitely like, welcome to my life. But now I got 3 boys who are becoming, so now things are going to shift for me to another reality, I think. Anyways.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was good. I mean, I think it's always good to show, I think, what women's racing is like on Zwift, because it is I would say at the moment it's like a really dedicated community, and we all kind of want it to grow. So it's awesome the work that these guys are doing, and I couldn't suggest enough to, if you're listening to this or a woman friend who you're like, I think they would like to get involved, because to be honest, for me, like, it's probably 20% the racing and 80% the connection with my team. And so I think that's a bit less intimidating sell to people. Like, actually, this is really about riding with some great like-minded people who you can have good chats with.
Yeah, I definitely see that with my wife, Gabriella, like the amount of connection that she has with her. I mean, that's her social group in a lot of ways. I mean, seriously. And I think I've been around enough to see the different interactions. I'm in men's groups, right? Like, I'm a man, and so I'm hanging out with them, and I'm watching what happens with Gabrielle. I'm like, we don't do that. I'm like almost a little jealous with how like connected you guys all get. So anyway, there's definitely something special there, which is really, really cool. So, okay.
Yeah, it's awesome.
National Champs kit. This is our kit.
Yes, that is actually in the National Champs USA kit. So I'm touching on the USA jersey. Obviously, Nathan will probably rate this like a 10 out of 10 because it's his home jersey. It's Stars and Stripes.
This is about fashion. You trying to say I'm not objective? Like, come on. What's going on here?
Oh, yeah. I know if that was a Silver Fern jersey, I'd be like 10 out of 10, hands down. But I actually more wanted to touch on what USA and Canada are doing with their national champs and jersey unlocks. I just think in general, I'm not going to rate the jersey, by the way, because I'm like, I don't want to polarize any like USA listeners. But I think what I more wanted to show was this is a great, great, great feature. Like, just being able to see this jersey in game. I know we talked about it with the World Champs jersey, how I think it went to Los Adigis again, which is awesome. She's amazing, but she doesn't really like ride or race on Zwift that much because she's a kick-ass in real life racer traveling around the world. So it's really cool actually to see these at a age group community level. So these jerseys in National USA Champs were given to age groups, the winners of age groups. So it's kind of cool. Like, you just see them out and about a little bit more, and it's like a little sweet feature in the game. Like, there's that USA champ. That's cool. cool. So yeah, I just really like what they've done here, and I hope other countries, when they have their national champs, hopefully they get supported by Zwift to kind of have a similar thing going.
Yeah, I have to agree with that because I think there's enough of them that you might see them once in a while, but it's not like just one where there's a lot of people, you know what I mean? Like you're not going to see it that often kind of a thing. And I think there's a good balance there too. And the reward for what you've done in game is, I mean, I think it's a no-brainer. So both Canadian nationals and USA will have kits in game, national champions for the elite as well as the age groupers. So good job on USA, Canada, and Zwift all partnering together to make that happen. I think Danish as well as Ireland, but I'm not sure if they ran masters and across those or not. I think they did. I wasn't involved with the productions there or any of the organization, but I believe it would be very, very similar. I'd be surprised if it wasn't. So rating on the kit, you're not rating the kit? Really? Like, this is the first week, come on, just artistic. No one's going to get offended. Just go for it. Like, seriously.
I'd probably give it like it's hard because I think this is why I'm not rating it, because I think national kits are just, it's like rating how good a flag looks. Like, it's just kind of like, I don't know. I mean, it looks great. Em's rocking it. Jen's rocking it. I think I personally find it really motivating to see, but I don't know. It's hard for me to rate it
from a design perspective. Yeah, I guess so. Because,
from a design perspective.
Because I see the stars and stripes and something different, very different happens for me than happens for you when you see the ferns. And so there's going to be some sort of a bias. Now, if I can back away from that and just look at how they use those, I would give it a 8.5. I give it an 8.5 for how they used it from someone who's from the country and has that reaction, that's going to be there, and Star Spangled Banner might start playing in the back of my head or something. Yeah. I give it an 8.5. I see where you're coming from.
The Pledge of Allegiance, is that what
it
is?
I mean, look, I mean, you can rate flags. I don't have a problem with that. Like, those are still artistic. Those are still like artistic expressions. And like some country flags are great. You know what I mean? And I get it. Like they're going to have, there is a reality of like beauty's going to be in the eye of the beholder in some ways there, like that one's definitely.
And I think it's kind of like, it's hard to rate because you don't have a lot of like creative leeway with a national jersey.
No, you don't.
So that's what I'm kind of more saying. It's kind of like, and I know like the Netherlands a year or so ago, their world champs in real life jersey was like white with undertone of orange. And it was like a huge deal. Like, I'm not from the Netherlands, but they are like an orange. They're always orange. And this jersey was just like a bit of like more white. And like, I think it went real polarized in that country because they went a bit off the track a little. So
see, and I guess like artistically though, it can also, I think there's like, what can you get done with what you have, and getting creative with what you have, and then you can judge it on that. You know what I mean? Like, wow, that's pretty cool with what they did with only having these colors, like I think sometimes some pretty cool stuff happens in that regard. Anyways, well, that's going to be it for us this week. That's episode number 82. What do you got going on for the next week, Anna?
Okay, I'm real nervous. So the reason we're doing the pod this morning, my time, is because I'm doing a crit tonight, like an actual proper
what's it called?
Bike racing crit. So I live in Auckland. It's called the Auckland Crits, and they're running a crit every Friday night for the next 4 weeks. But the part I'm nervous about is my sister-in-law's coming. She's going to watch the kids because my husband and I are racing in the same category against each other.
What? What?
So I'm like, oh gosh. And it's, so he rides only in real life. I ride mostly only on Zwift. So I'm kind of interested because I think I've got a bit more punch, and there's a little chicane into a hill. It's like each lap is a kilometer, as you do 20 minutes plus a lap.
Okay, when's the last time you did some crazy cornering, and like, when's the last time you were like real close to people?
Never. I do triathlons. We have, so I just don't want to crash. So I'm just going to see how tonight flows. But so I think I could be like faster, but he's a mountain biker. So he's technically, and he rides in a bunch 3 times a week. So he's technically going to be like way better. And it's him and all his bunch buddies and like me. I don't know if any other women are entered. So I just need to be careful because my competitiveness will probably be above my technical ability. So I'm going to just have to really, really not crash.
Trust the wheels, keep it your line, no sudden movements, and a lot of it has to do with trust that knows your ability, right? Like if you're going to sit down in a chair, but the third one of the legs is bad, you don't want to trust that leg. And if you know this part of you is, if you know what I mean? But if you know you can trust this part of you, but at the same time, there's risk reward there. There's a reality that my buddies, when I first would go out, they'd be like, what was it? They would say instead of don't break a leg or don't, or, be safe out there and all, have fun and be safe out there. They would not say that to me.
Yeah.
The mountain bike crew, they would say, no, they'd be like, go fast, take risks. You know what I mean? There's 2 different ways to like come at this. And when you were younger, at least when I was younger and we were just all in on racing, it was like, go fast, take risks. Like that's like a win. Like, cause like that's, just watch out for that, 4th leg that might.
So my question is, do I leave my Zwift plays on my bike? Just turn up, be like,
oh my God,
this is how I do it.
Turn them on. Have your phone with Zwift on right here. Like, hey guys.
I know, right? They're just going to be like,
KBH
what are
did
you
that.
doing?
KBH did that, actually. Kevin Bouchard Hall went to a cyclocross race, had his phone on him in his pocket, turned Zwift on, and raced a Zwift race that was starting at the same time as this cyclocross race because his power meter was connected and actually was able to do both. I mean, he wasn't paying attention to the Zwift race, but it completed. I don't think he completed the race. I think his battery died or something. But you could actually be on Zwift because now with your 5G, no problem. Like you could just connect it to Zwift and make it happen. But anyways, what am I up to? My daughter's actually got a wrestling tournament this weekend, so I'm going to be there all day Saturday because she's trying to qualify for state again. She won conference. She's like number 1 seed in this area. She's just absolutely killing it. She swapped over from cycling to wrestling the last couple of years, and she went to state last year. This year, though, the women's field of wrestling is really grown in Wisconsin, and so she's got some top seeds and sectionals in order to get to state. So that's going to be pretty big this weekend. So because of that, with family commitments, I'll probably do a late night Kiss 100 because we have to leave pretty early on Saturday. So sometimes I do like the midnight one and then get a lot of sleep and then do maybe 3 rounds or 4 rounds of racing late on Sunday is probably what I'll be up to. So race into shape for my intensity and then find some base work in between. So that's I'm just so done with intervals right now. Like I am I did so many intervals going into season that I just need a refreshing break from organized intensity and just have a lot of fun racing my bike right now. So that's what I'm up to.
Cool.
So, well, thanks everybody for tuning in. This has been episode number 82. If you want to download the podcast, head over to zwiftcommunitylive.com/podcast. You can find it there or search the Wrap and Zwift anywhere that you do download your podcast. You should be able to find it on any of those places in the next 24 hours or so while Anna goes and races her crit first, most likely, I think is what's going to be happening there. You can also find us on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. It helps us a ton if you do follow, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. We just hit 13,850. We had a big surge over this past couple of weeks. We're trying to go for 14 in the next week or two and beyond. So thank you so much. It helps us a ton for subscribing, everybody. Thanks a lot for everybody for tuning in, and we will see you next week for episode 83 from Anna and I. As always, ride on.